This podcast has been brought to you by Cine.nl. Must you see? Da-da-da.
Oh! Will you please listen up to what I have to say? Cause we're in for some old-fashioned wrestling today. Not the violent, oily opposerish kind, but the kind that involves pins and thumbs you will find. Cause it's thumb wrestling time. Yes, it's thumb wrestling time. Yes, it's thumb wrestling time. So we will discuss pros and cons, faults and pluses of all your favorite movies. And we will ponder the merits of cinema in this WrestleMania. Cause it's thumb wrestling time. Yes, it's thumb wrestling time. Yes, it's thumb wrestling time.
Hello, pod people. Oh, yes, that is from Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Welcome to a new episode of Thumb Wrestling, a podcast in which I, Ruud Vos, will be talking to a guest about a certain film about which we don't agree. Smooth. Anyway, welcome to episode letter 49, episode the 49th parallel. And this is a conversation that I recorded quite recently on November 4th, the day after the US elections, basically, when I was still feeling pretty anxious about that. And this conversation might be exactly what I needed that night. It was so much fun. I talked to a comedian friend of mine, Hager, or La Hager, or as her full name is, Hager Bazuni. She is from Egypt originally. She's lived in Japan for loads of years and she's now residing in The Hague. And we talked through Skype. And I met her for the first time on the same night that I met a previous guest on this podcast, Steve Dix. You might remember him from episode 42. Guess which one that was about? Anyway, Hager, there is something interesting about her. She is ridiculously good at comedy. I saw her perform a couple of times and I never saw her do the same material twice. And even more than that, she killed it every time. Maybe it isn't good to raise expectations too high, but I must say I laughed during the conversation and I laughed again while I was editing it, so I think we're solid. Hager basically jumped at the chance to tackle a certain film by Martin Scorsese, his biggest commercial hit, The Wolf of Wall Street, a movie from 2013. In it, Leonardo DiCaprio plays real-life stockbroker and human douchebag Jordan Belfort. He knowingly sells worthless stock to unsuspecting people. He becomes very rich. He does a lot of drugs. He fucks a lot of prostitutes. And this attracts a lot more scumbags to his company. The one he co-founded with Donny Azoff, played by Jonah Hill, in a hilarious role. And he also gets a new wife, Naomi, played by Margot Robbie, the role that got her the attention of the world. But Jordan Belfort also gets the attention of the FBI, and he just can't wrestle himself away from this lifestyle in order to escape the law. All right, that's basically the story. Time for a small intermezzo called Show Me the Money. You can support this podcast by becoming a patron. What does that mean? Well, you can help out this podcast by donating a couple of euros each month. Because making a podcast takes a load of time, but also a bit of money, because I have to pay for a server room and for the software I used to make this. So if you would like to help out, now it's possible. And let me be clear, this podcast is free and it will remain free, always. But if you want, you can help out a bit. Go to patreon.com/duimpjeworstelen. I will put a link in the description. And there you can find out how it works. And also which rewards you get if you support Duimpje Worstelen, or Thumb Wrestling as it's called in the English episode. Right. Let's get to the conversation about The Wolf of Wall Street with Hager. There we go.
3, 2, 1, fight!
You quite quickly pitched The Wolf of Wall Street.
I did. I hate the movie with a passion.
All right.
I really hate it.
Could you give me your mini review? Like, what is The Wolf of Wall Street to you?
The Wolf of Wall Street to me is about two things, really. It's about ED and SDE. Now, you're probably thinking, Hager, everyone knows what these acronyms are, but just for the other listeners, could you explain them? So I'll do that. Obviously, It's about erectile dysfunction and small dick energy. That's what that movie is really about.
And it's not even made that explicit in there, but it's basically it probably, yeah. But
oh, yeah.
It does make that quite clear that it is about that.
Not only about that. There's so much more.
Okay.
But, if I had to summarize it in two acronyms, these would be the two acronyms I would be using. ED and SDE.
Okay.
I'm just managing the expectations of the listeners.
Okay. So, for people who don't know what you will be talking about, why would you say that? Because I do think, just before going into that, I do think it plays sort of both audiences. Like it's very much takes the piss out of these guys who are in the movie, but guys who are like that, that's the Archie Bunker effect. Guys who are like that will also embrace it and go like, oh, that's fucking cool, man.
Yeah, the thing is, so here's what I did yesterday. I posted on Instagram saying, I absolutely hate this movie. And then I asked people, what do you hate the most about this movie? And I love the fact that 85% of the men who responded all said, I love this movie. What I hate the most is that it should have been longer. It's like bullshit comments like that where you think, okay. And then all the women gave like these descriptions of, okay, this is like, it was too much of everything, it's glorifying people who caused the 2008 recession. And all of these things I agree with. So there's one thing which is obviously about the glorification of the average white guy who manages to climb up the ladder on the backs of very poor people, which is horrible to glorify that in and of itself. But then there's like this whole...
still, they are worse than those stockbrokers.
How do you mean?
Because they're not within the law. I actually, on a sort of a moral level, I hate stockbrokers who caused the 2008 crash even more because they exploit the vulnerabilities of the law. Like where there isn't any regulation yet, they find that and they zoom in on that and they're being pricks about it. But these people willingly broke the law to make an easier buck.
Yeah, it's not only willingly breaking the law, so that's one thing, but I think it's also the whole concept of a penny stock, that you're selling it to people who can't afford it.
Yeah.
And it's exactly sort of like the exacerbation of the idea that, okay, you're selling a mortgage to someone who can't pay it off. It's what the banks did as well. So it's kind of like that knock-on effect of...
The Wolf of Wall Street has been criticized about this, because also Jordan Belfort himself, because in his book he sort of made out this idea that he's sort of being a Robin Hood type figure, only not giving to the poor, but he is taking only from the rich, while he has victimized people who couldn't pay stuff off.
Yeah, so like skipping to the end of the movie, like when you finally see him coming out of jail and going on stage, and then they pan out and zoom to the audience, you're like, okay, look at this audience that they've chosen. It's clearly like everyone who will never make it, onto the stock market.
Yeah.
So it was just like another little tiny piss take, like of like, here you go, we're gonna stick it up your bum, even more people.
Yeah, but there's also a bit of a sort of a melancholy in that for Jordan Belfort himself. Like, he will never work with the people he does want to work with ever again. He will only have these people who will try to sell a pen by saying, it's a great pen and it's fantastic and you should... Yeah.
I agree. So in that sense, yes, but he deserves it.
Yeah, that's his comeuppance. Especially after having been in tennis camp, supervised tennis camp, as it's been called in a Voice Crack video. What was the first time that you saw it?
When I saw this movie for the first time.
When was it released again? I can't remember.
2013.
2013. Then I must have watched it shortly after it was released, and I can't remember if it was in the cinema or if I saw it at home. I just remember feeling very angry afterwards.
That's the biggest thing you took away from that first experience.
That was definitely the key takeaway message was, what did I just watch? And then the other thing is, this movie is 2 hours and 52 minutes.
Yeah.
That is a ridiculously long movie. This is a Bollywood movie.
I'm sure there are movies of that long that you do like.
Yes. Bollywood movies.
Bollywood movies.
There's
all right.
Great, really long Bollywood movies.
They are way more innocent than this, at least.
Mm-hmm. So I was asked, would you rather hear really, really horrible singing for 2 hours and 52 minutes, or would you rather watch this movie? And I said I would much rather hear horrible singing, probably even that Shark Baby song for 2 hours and 52 minutes, than watch this movie.
You didn't rewatch it for this podcast then?
I did last night. I did.
Yeah?
I did. Yeah, and then I went and had a conversation and someone was like, are you okay? Why are you so angry? I'm like, because I just watched this movie.
How did they respond?
They were like, okay, don't ask me for my opinion about this movie.
Om Shanti Om.
I just think, Jordan Belfort, he's probably the reason Corona exists.
Like karma?
Karma, yes. It's all about getting back at all the Jordan Belforts out there. That's what's happening.
If only it would only just target the Jordan Belforts of this world.
That would have been amazing, unfortunately. I think our life would be better. So let me say what I did like about the movie. I thought Matthew McConaughey was very good.
Yeah.
And finally we got to see what he actually looks like. So that's interesting.
What do you mean with that?
No, just because in every other movie, he's always this slick, beefy guy. And then suddenly in The Wolf of Wall Street, it was just him without any of the facade and with bad hair. And
yeah, but he had just lost a lot of weight for the Dallas Buyers Club, for which he won an Oscar the same year as this film was up for Oscars, by the way. So
this movie was up for an Oscar? Good God.
Leonardo DiCaprio lost to Matthew McConaughey for another movie.
Well, actually, I think that's only fair.
Yeah, you didn't like his performance in this?
No, I mean, it's the typical Leo DiCaprio performance. It was the same with that movie he did about when he was the fake airline pilot.
Right. Catch Me If You Can.
Well, Catch Me If You Can. It was kind of a similar sort of the slick guy, but also the guy that kind of gets your almost a little bit of sympathy from you because it's just that youthfulness that he always exudes.
Yeah.
But it wasn't oh my God, this is amazing acting. It's every man's dream. You get to play a rich guy and be with a lot of women. Wow. I wouldn't have to act. I can do it. Pass me the strap on. I'll happily do it. It's fine. So I don't understand why he would get an Oscar for that.
He didn't. He just got nominated, but he did win it.
Even the nomination. It's almost like an insult to every other movie that was released that year, but that's just me.
Loads of people who didn't like that he did get the Oscar for The Revenant say he should have gotten it for The Wolf of Wall Street. And yes, it is mostly guys saying that.
Yes. I do appreciate that the clear absence of a penis means that I may not fully comprehend The Wolf of Wall Street in the way that I should. But maybe it is this absolute absence that also gives me a better viewpoint and vantage of what it actually means to be the Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah. So I would say that if I would have to defend the film, that I wouldn't defend that part of it because that's not really what I'm tuning into. It's even I would say that. I get that the attraction for lots of guys is that these are fun guys to hang out with. But the kind of parties that you see in the film, the way they go at it, it would be a party that I wouldn't even like in real life. I would be embarrassed there. And even, I don't know, I've never taken cocaine, so maybe that would help. It probably would. But
I just think you're a really nice guy, Root. That's your problem. No wonder we don't want to go to those parties.
But these guys are also pretty accurately portrayed as shitheels, and it does criticize them for that. It gets you into their mind zone. Like, why would they want to take on this lifestyle effectively? If you wouldn't have that, if you wouldn't have get at least a taste of what they're experiencing, like the parts and stuff like that, then you wouldn't get the attraction of, wouldn't really get why they would do what they do. You would just get the, oh, look at these evil men being perverts, debauching all the way around.
Yeah, but, I mean, the debauchery is one thing, but I think it's the way, I mean, I know we have to get to this point at some point. What is up with the misogyny in the movie? Of course. But before we get to that point, I also have a problem with the portrayal of drug abuse in the movie. I think it's very irresponsible. Of course, it's about those guys taking it too far, but it already starts when... Like, it was a young Jordan Belfort never having taken cocaine and being surprised by it, to Jordan Belfort sniffing it off a hooker's ass. You know, it was just like the extreme was quite bizarre.
Yeah, one of the first things he does do is smoke crack with Donnie.
That's what I mean. So this is it. Like, Donnie, before even having any money, was already on crack. So it's like the whole concept of, you know, whatever you are before alcohol, you are after. Like, I'm a super happy drunk. You know, I'm actually a nicer person when I'm drunk. But these guys are bigger assholes when they are on drugs, apparently.
Yeah.
God, the concept of Quaaludes. They finished Quaaludes from the 80s. Congratulations, guys. That's impressive. I mean, never again. But no, I didn't like that. It wasn't even the crack that bothered me, or the weed, or even the cocaine. I think it's just more this normalization of abusing over the drug counters. Yeah. Or like drugs that are meant to be for suppression or depression or you know, ADHD or things like that, like the Adderall, the Xanax, all that. So it's just like, why?
Yeah.
You know, how good is your life that you need all these stimulants all the time? You know?
Yeah, but it's also a symptom of it being bad. It's not. It doesn't say that the drugs are good. It's just sort of being honest about taking all of them, and also showing what kind of monsters they turn into by using them.
Yeah, but the thing is, for someone like you and me watching it, I get it. But yeah, I think it's a very irresponsible movie for younger boys. And
impressionable people who are just coming out of college and thinking about a career in finance.
Or anything. Especially because they did like the survey, right, where they were asking a lot of young boys between the ages of, I think, 13 to 18, what's your favorite movie? And nearly 80% of them said The Wolf of Wall Street. And that is a worrying symptom. It was the actual like video interview where they were like interviewing a whole bunch of boys. And I think it was just like so disturbing that this is your favorite movie. Because I don't think at the age of 13 you have the capacity to understand the right between, or the difference between Jordan Belfort, the character, and what you're supposed to be like if you're, you know, on Wall Street.
Yeah. Technically, they're not really supposed to watch this movie, but, well, you can't really stop them from that, can you?
They're not supposed to watch porn either, but here we are. Yeah. Biggest consumers on Pornhub, 13-year-old boys.
Yeah. I listened to this podcast, it's I think almost a year ago. It was about it was John Ronson, Welsh journalist. He started looking at what the effects are of porn having become free. Like, started by interviewing the guy who thought up Pornhub, and then see what kind of effects it has, and just going like a domino effect. Like, it was called the butterfly effect. Like all these different little results that it has, and see how far we can take that. One of the results of Pornhub is that there is a lot less teen pregnancy, because young men have become so overstimulated that they can't have normal sex with a girl anymore.
Yeah, see, like there's the good and the bad. No more teen pregnancy. Erectile dysfunction. We're back.
And they can go get Quaaludes and start being the Wolf of Wall Street. Maybe, I don't know. But I wouldn't suggest that to them.
I'm not saying Wolf of Wall Street is responsible for erectile dysfunction in 13-year-old boys. I wouldn't go that far.
No.
But, you know, Martin Scorsese should definitely reconsider where he gives charity money next year. That's all.
Have you met non-men who do like the movie?
Have I met any men who do not like the movie?
No, not men, women, basically.
Women who like the movie. I've met women who are indifferent to it, which is very good. But I haven't really met or haven't spoken to any woman per se who has said, I like this movie. There's no outspoken agreement amongst females that this movie is acceptable or likable for that matter. But I hasten to add, this is anecdotal. I have not done a peer-reviewed clinical trial to see whether or not women respond negatively upon watching Wolf of Wall Street. They start having convulsions or drink excessively. I don't know.
Puny God.
Do you like other movies by Martin Scorsese?
So I did actually, because I thought, am I just against this man?
Yeah.
So what did he do? Remind me again, because I looked it up, but now I've forgotten, because I was like, I don't think I've seen many of his.
Taxi Driver?
Yes, that one is good. Taxi Driver. His, maybe it was the old stuff. Wait, let me...
Goodfellas?
Of course, Goodfellas.
Casino?
Very honest. Casino is brilliant. That was really good. And so here's controversial thing again. I didn't get through The Irishman.
Okay. Why?
It was just, I got very bored very quickly.
I can sort of understand that, because to me it also felt like I could feel its length, like 3.5 hours. I could feel how long it was, but in this case it just didn't bother me. I felt it was all right that it felt that long, because it also felt like it was sort of the point of the film. It doesn't have the rhythm of The Wolf of Wall Street.
But I'm also just wondering, what is up with Mr. Scorsese? Like, what happened that he decided to pick up Jordan Belfort's book and go, you know what, I'm going to turn this into a fuckfest of a movie?
It was mostly the idea of Leonardo DiCaprio.
Of course,
he got the right
his favorite child.
He has a history of being persuaded by his actors, especially by Robert De Niro, to make movies. So the same with The King of Comedy. He didn't want to make that film, but De Niro kept pushing him, and then he did. And then there are a couple more of those.
I don't remember that movie. Like, I remember I've seen it, but I don't remember much of it, The King of Comedy. But then again, it came out like a couple of years before I was born, I think. So that doesn't help. I'm just looking up the movies. I have seen Hugo.
Hugo, did you like that?
I did. I thought that was very, very nice movie. Very, very visually appealing as well.
Yeah. It was the first 3D movie that I saw in cinema with those glasses on, where I thought, oh, this actually looks... It actually doesn't bother me here. It's pretty good. He makes good three-dimensional pictures when he's just doing 2D, so of course it translates to 3D.
Martin Scorsese. He must have had a lot of fun making this movie, though. Wolf of Wall Street. I can tell you that much. Oh, here's another thing that bothers me. I am not a big fan of Jonah Hill. I don't understand why that guy is in Hollywood. I really don't. I don't get the added value of him as an actor.
In nothing. Just never.
In nothing.
You've never seen him do anything that you thought, oh, that's not too bad. Like
no,
Moneyball, maybe.
Everyone keeps bringing up Moneyball because that's, I think, the only time he has played something that is not himself.
I do think that most other things are a version of himself.
Right? Like even, what was the name of his character in Wolf of Wall Street again? Danny,
Donnie.
right?
Donnie Azoff. Yeah.
Might as well have been called Jonah. It's just like another just another one of his comedy characters, I suppose. I don't know.
He has the false teeth, and he's a bit extra
weird,
stupid. Yeah, weird. Yeah. Out of
but he's
control.
like that in every.
Yeah.
Or what was that other terrible movie where he does play himself? This Is the End, or...
Yeah, where everyone plays themselves. Seth Rogen, Jay Baruchel, they made it together. I hate that
Not a big
movie.
fan of Seth Rogen either. that trio, Jonah Hill, Seth Rogen, and James Franco. I mean, I don't... Oh my God. Wow. Like, I will watch a movie, and if it just doesn't... If I don't think it's spectacular, then I won't remember anything, really.
So it does help that this one ticked you off particularly.
Yeah. But, like, to be honest, I had forgotten so much of the movie, which I'm very happy about.
All right. Sorry for dragging you back into that.
It's just like, ugh, now I have to see it again.
But
Yeah.
do you at least enjoy your hate for the movie? Because I can imagine that is sort of a release.
Well, maybe a little bit. I like. No, like is a big word. I don't know how to explain this. It's just that movie irks me. That movie grinds my gears.
Mm-hmm.
You know? That movie stands for everything that I'm against.
As a movie entirely, you mean, or just the contents of it?
The contents, but also the fact that it's being made into a movie kind of bothers me too. I mean, there's lots of movies out there that are kind of unnecessary.
Yeah.
But I feel like, especially at the time, like, because, you said it was 2013. It's like a big middle finger to the world. That's what that movie is.
Yeah, I would think that the book is that in a way worse way, because that's just Jordan Belfort himself turning a profit of the thing that got him in jail. Actually, in the you know Tommy Chong of Cheech and Chong fame?
Oh, yeah?
He plays the dopey hippie also in that 70s show.
Yeah.
Right. So he's thanked in the movie in the end credits, even though he has no real role in it or whatsoever. But that's because when Jordan Belfort was in jail, so was Tommy Chong for selling some drugs paraphernalia. They met in prison. Jordan Belfort told him some stories, and he said, "Hey, man, you should write a book about that." And so he did, and here we are.
Wow, they met in prison, in tennis prison. This is awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I mean, I hate tennis, so for me, like, being stuck in a tennis prison would be punishment.
Can I say something worse to maybe anger you even more?
Go on.
All right. This movie was financed by a couple of guys who used to be in the stocks trade, and one of them can't get back into his own country of Malaysia because of probably stocks fraud. So the movie is also made by money. That's exactly the same like the money that's in the movie. Just a guy who thought...
That is remarkable. See what I mean? This movie just keeps getting worse. You know, whether content-wise or financing-wise. Gosh, it's amazing. I wonder, Martin Scorsese, he's married, right? Let's see. He is married, yes. He's married yes. to multiple women. He's been married multiple times. Well, we know why now, Martin. Yeah, I wonder how long it took for his wife to talk to him again after seeing that movie. They really do. They really, really do. And I have absolutely, financed by fraud money. This is just...
Probably, yeah. You can't say it exactly for sure, but most likely, yes. Very much so.
So this movie is basically an American election.
And you're not just saying that because it's today.
No, I would just say that. I would say it's American politics if it wasn't for today.
of all the podcasts in all the towns in the world. She walks into mine.
All right, let's talk about the portrayal of women in The Wolf of Wall Street.
Do you need a moment?
No, I'm fine.
And I want to make clear that I'm not asking this because I think women are overly emotional. I just want to say, do you want to get fired up before you hack into it?
I took a sip of my wine. I'm good.
All right.
The portrayal of women in The Wolf of Wall Street. What to say? Let me start by saying I would like to clarify to all the young boys out there listening and to all the adult men out there listening that women are not, in fact, tables. We are not tables, okay? Our ass is not a table. Our tits are not a table. Our bellies are not tables. Our foreheads are not tables. Our cheeks are not tables. We are not tables. So I just needed to get that out of the way. We are not tables. So, because honestly, that's all I kept thinking was like, oh my God, he's using her as a table again. Oh, there she is, another table. That's another table. Every single woman in that movie has been used as a table. And otherwise, she has been told to go improve herself so that she can be used as a table.
So there's usually this thing about movies where you say that if you can just substitute a character with a lamp, then they're a useless character. But in this movies, it's just tables.
Like, I don't understand why. Like, I would love to give him a mirror to sniff his cocaine off of. Like, anytime a man would come near me, like, can I sniff coke off your body? Like, no. Here, have a mirror or have a table. Just give him a table.
Yeah.
I'm going to start a business, cocaine tables.
So, I'm guessing this is not the entire point.
This is not the
Misogyny.
entire point. No, I don't like the fact that, indeed, like, every single woman is not being portrayed well. Even the woman that he started, like, first of all, his wife, super nice, super sweet. Of course, he falls in love as soon as he has more money with this bombshell, Naomi.
Kristen Milioti plays first wife, and then Margot Robbie is second one.
Margot Robbie, yeah. Beautiful woman.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. Hideous Brooklyn accent, but let's not get into that. That's fine.
She's Australian. I was pretty impressed with what
she's Australian,
she did.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, she did her best, but it was still pretty bad. But yeah, that's all these women were. We are just tables and holes to be filled. That's pretty remarkable, really. Even the woman that is very successful at the firm, or like his assistant, for example, even they are not really portrayed in the best light. Either it's like you are super hot and beautiful. Yeah.
I would say that the women at the firm are especially badly portrayed because they're just there to condone the behavior of the men. They take part in it sometimes, but even worse, they're letting it go on and feeding into it.
Yeah, but this is my issue with a lot of things like that. So, for example, that scene where they shave off her head to give her $10,000 so that she can go get a boob job. It's just like, wow, this is it? So this is what we're going to use $10,000 for?
She's getting money to give them even bigger rewards for their bad behavior, basically.
Exactly. Or, for example, that story at the end where he's talking about the woman who's also a stockbroker. I can't remember her name now, but then it's about how she is a single mom and she needed money, and that's why she gets... Like, it's not even... You know, whereas Donnie came up to him in like a diner and the other guys, they were selling drugs. No, this one, I'm a single mom, I needed money. It's like, wow, could you portray us in even worse light? And let me make it clear, it's not very difficult to get hired on Wall Street. It's not very difficult to get hired in the finance district in London. I've done it. If they wanted to hire me, they will hire anyone, basically.
All right.
So it's not an achievement, I think, if you get hired by JP Morgan or any of those firms. They're basically looking for anyone who is a blank slate so they can teach you whatever they need to teach you so they can make money off of you.
Exactly, to get you to find those loopholes and work them, or not even find them, but just identify them, basically.
Yeah. Like, they're looking for someone, are you willing to leave your integrity at the door?
Yeah.
If the answer yes, welcome.
There was this book by a Dutch journalist. He did a series of columns for the Guardian newspaper in the UK. And what he basically did was interview people who are in finances. So in finances in London mostly. The book's title in Dutch is something along the lines of "This cannot be true."
Yeah.
Really be, because he was just interested in who has caused this crash, and just on a complete know nothing entry level, try to ask people like what's going on there, what happened, and get the story out of that. And he does describe all this kind of debauchery like is in The Wolf of Wall Street, only slightly less intense. But it is there. But you also get all these people who are getting sucked into the whole milieu of it all, and they will say that they work with the very smartest people that are alive. These are the best men. Actually, Jordan Belfort in this movie at least says, I like idiots because you can teach them to do anything.
Well, that's exactly it. When you're going through the process, the only thing they care about is your numerical abilities. Can you count?
Yeah.
Great, that's it. Your cognitive abilities, your all that stuff, like comprehension or whatever, because all those assessments that you have to go through, it's very minimal.
Yeah.
What really counts is your numerical abilities. And then during the interview, they ask you things like, well, what do you think about this? Or what do you think about that? How do you feel about derivatives? Blah, blah, blah. And then you realize, okay, this is not anything related to how I think or my reasoning or logic skills or anything about how I plan to play the market or any of the sort. It's just a matter of, can you be taught simple formulas? And that's exactly what is also in this movie. When he decided to have them try to sell to rich people, it was a matter of, okay, can you stick to a script? The other thing that this movie glorifies is bad sales.
Yeah.
Like, they're, of course, like, yeah, he's good at selling, but he's good at selling to gullible people.
And selling shit to them.
Yeah. So you're selling bad shit and you're selling it to gullible people who don't have potentially the capacity to understand what's going on. I don't know. It's just so bad. Oh, yeah. And the fact that the IPO was Steve Madden. God, that was hilarious. Just because Steve Madden is just the worst shoes ever.
Is it? I don't know shoes, so...
He's still actually going. I don't know how. I really don't know who buys these shoes. Probably the same women who were happy to play a role in The Wolf of Wall Street.
It's an in.
Not saying anything,
Robbie
ladies.
Got quite a good career out of it.
Yeah, I mean, because she was willing to take off her clothes.
Yeah.
Which is another thing that bothers me. Like, a lot of women...
Which she didn't even have to do. Scorsese even said to her that, like, you can wear a bathrobe for that scene, and she just went, no, my body is is the only power I have in this scene, my currency, so I should show that for this scene because that's the power she holds over him.
It's true, and it comes back again, and I appreciate her wanting to reclaim the concept of power with your physical prowess. I'm just not really sure. Because in a way, and I'm going to say something that is not going to make me very popular, but to have a balanced viewpoint, in the same way that I'm saying The Wolf of Wall Street is about erectile dysfunction, this whole idea of that latest song, WAP, Wet Ass Pussy, is probably also about dry vaginas. It's a lot of compensation that is taking place in the world nowadays. We're all trying to show this image of ourselves that we cannot possibly live up to.
Right. I don't even know the song WAP.
Oh, good God. Look it up later. I'm not... Even my 8-year-old niece knows it. But it's like this idea that everything has to be excessive. I think that bothers me. It's like you're compensating for something that you don't have by going to extremes. Or you're trying to say that doing a nude scene is acceptable because it means I'm in control of my body. Like, are you in control of your body?
She sees it as a part of the character that she thinks that is her control, not necessarily Margot Robbie herself.
No, I get that. I completely do. It's part of the character description, but you just notice that there's just like this unfortunate trend. Like every time a woman needs to do something, she has to get naked first. Whether it's Lady Gaga, whether it's like a key frustration for women. Like all these TV shows, whether it's Game of Thrones, whether it's this movie, there's so many tits and pussy everywhere, and not a single dick. Like we saw Jonah Hill's dick, but I'm pretty sure that wasn't his.
That wasn't his. It was a prosthetic.
Exactly. So
not that
show the
I would
penis.
judge that you wanted to see that, but it would have at least been an improvement over not getting to see it really.
Just
in a way.
want to have a balanced, just a balance. If you're gonna show 300 women running around naked, have 300 men running around naked.
Yeah, and not just with a drum in front of them while being part of a marching band.
And they still had their boxers on.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So there. It's just, and then every time you do see like a dick in a movie, it's like covered by a massive bush in front of it. I'm like, really? So we're told we have to shave it all off, but men are allowed to have like a massive, 70s era bush. And here I am quoting Jordan Belfort. I am not a fan of the bush. Well, Jordan Belfort, I'm not a fan of you. So there.
Good retort.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I really worked hard on that one.
There are points to the two biggest female characters, the two wives, that I wouldn't say it fledges them out as a character, but at least gives them a bit more due than all the other women in the film. Namely, first you have Teresa, the supportive wife, who knows him, accepts him in many ways, except is cheating, but that would be obvious within the context of the film as well. But at least when she's being dumped, it's not portrayed as a good thing. He's being very Weasley when she asks, do you love her? Stuff like that. She asks exactly the right questions at that point. And also, all the shenanigans he gets up to are basically portrayed as bits of comedy. All along the film. Loads of it is just almost made comical as being, it is a laugh. So there's a tone thing there, which can get you to think that everything he does is all right. But at the end, the scene where he breaks up from Naomi, where he actually punches her in the gut, the tone of that scene is tragedy. It is more like, yeah, he's a cunt for doing this. At least it's serious about that part of it, that his behavior is very bad.
But he still gets away with everything. He's not being punished for the way that he is treating the women in his life. He is being punished for fraud. And I don't think he ever feels that he has had to apologize for any of his treatment towards women. I don't think he even recognizes it.
He wrote in his book.
What did he write? That he feels bad?
Oh, I don't know that exactly, if I should be honest. But
so,
actually, he does say about the scene at the end where he punches her in the gut. That didn't happen. He says he did hit her. He's honest about that, but it wasn't at that point. Not by the time that he was trying to be sober. It was when he was at his worst with his drug craze.
Doesn't really excuse it, does it?
No. I don't think that the film tries to excuse it either.
No, I don't think the film does, but I think the film kind of sees it as, okay, he's a dick to women. Moving on to other things. You're still dealing with women as being not even a secondary character. I don't think they're even tertiary characters. I think it's just like, it's like I said, it's another aspect. It's another object almost. It's like money, drugs, and women.
I've always wanted to see the frontier before it's gone.
Actually, Jordan Belfort has professed that he got into this gig because he adored Gordon Gekko from the movie Wall Street, by Oliver Stone.
Yeah.
in which they do condemn the moral implications of that game, the stock fraud that he does and stuff like that.
I do remember that movie, and I did think it was a good movie, but I was also very young when I watched it. So I'm not really
I haven't
sure
seen
that
it, but I watched it in preparation for this conversation because I thought, well, it's good to have some more background of more stock movies. So I spent my Halloween watching movies about stocks, fraud, and stuff like that. I saw Wall Street, and I saw Margin Call, which is about the crisis now in 2008. Then I watched Wall Street, Money Never Sleeps. Because why not watch the sequel with Shia LaBeouf? It wasn't my favorite. It's not my favorite LaBeouf era. I think he's really redeemed himself, but he's not that good in that film. But I also then watched Boiler Room. Don't know if you know that film. It's from 2000.
Who is in that again? Why does that sound
It's
really
with
familiar?
Ben Affleck. It's also with Giovanni Ribisi, who plays the lead. It's also with Vin Diesel. It's sometimes named as one of the few movies of Vin Diesel that's actually good.
Yeah.
And it's actually based on the same... It's actually based on the firm of Jordan Belfort.
I probably have seen it.
But actually, what you said about erectile dysfunction made me think about Boiler Room, because in it is one of these speeches that Ben Affleck gives. He's the recruiter of the firm. And he gives one of these speeches that is very much like Glengarry Glen Ross. Willingly, they even name drop Glengarry Glen Ross in Boiler Room. So there's that. And he does say that if you want to be a success in the firm, you should at least learn to pretend as if. And one of the things he tells them to pretend as if you have a 6-inch cock.
Valid advice.
Which is also very much The Wolf of Wall Street.
This is how I go into every client meeting. I pretend I have a 6-inch cock. This is true. Works every time, 60% of the time.
You do like to quote Anchorman?
It's a great movie. There were 2 public service announcements that I thought were positive about the movie. One, masturbation is okay. Well done. This is true.
Yeah.
And also, thanks Jordan Belfort, now everyone knows what cerebral palsy is. So there we go. Those were the 2 positives.
And that does feel like, well, a lot of stuff in the film is politically incorrect enough. Let's just not call them spastics, but use the correct word for that. Yeah.
The actual word was being used, so that's well done.
Exactly. You wonder if the script used to say actually said cerebral palsy, or whether it's actually a correction.
Pretty sure it said something else. Yeah.
So another talking point, also about your which sort of gets into your thing about Leo. Of course, he wants to do this. Jordan Belfort, he of course has a website where he promotes his motivational speaking, on which there is a video testimonial of Leonardo DiCaprio, recommending him to people, and I think Leonardo DiCaprio is a very good actor, but he can't act properly, enthusiastically about Jordan Belfort's public speaking. So even he isn't that convinced about that, maybe, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
So why did he do it? I think what happened was that as part of the contract, in order to actually do the movie, he probably had to sign off and say, you're actually going to have to record something on my website endorsing me. Because that's the kind of thing. Like, he sold him a pen, basically.
Yeah.
Oh, God, he looks like such a smug asshole.
Belfort.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does.
Where would you buy anything from this man?
But so, Belfort's name is real in the film. Danny Azov, that's a made-up name. The guy is actually called Danny Porush. He's less proud of his portrayal in The Wolf of Wall Street, also threatened to sue if he was portrayed worse. That's why his name was changed, by the way. Also, Naomi is not the real name of Belford's ex-wife. Also,
No.
even though that title, the Duchess of Long Island, or what was it? That is true. That was actually a nickname of his ex-wife, who was really a model and stuff like that. Someone whose real name isn't there is the guy giving him advice to masturbate in a toilet lots of times in the day and go see hookers and stuff like that. Mark Hanna, played by McConaughey. His name is real.
McConaughey. Yeah.
Yeah. Weird thing is that Mark Hanna, the real Mark Hanna, is very proud of being portrayed the way he is in The Wolf of Wall Street, and he actually promotes himself with that on his own website.
Wow. Just amazing. Oh, so his wife's real name is Nadine Caridi?
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
And so, wow, at least they chose a good-looking person to portray her. Okay, that's interesting. Who's Ross Belfort?
I don't know.
Oh, is that their kid? Because they have kids as well, don't they? What are their kids think of the movie? That's what I'd like to know.
Actually, another bad thing to bring up, maybe, but why not? You know, we're painting a bad enough picture of Jordan Belfort as it is, so why not add to it? So he still owes about 110 million in reparations to people he's defrauded. And all the money he makes for public speaking and for his book, he gets via a company in Australia. So the taxes, so the US government can get at it.
It's New Zealand, isn't it? Because that's why
I thought I read Australia, but okay, maybe New Zealand.
Just because in the last scene of the movie, he was in New Zealand for that first thingy. Yeah. Which I thought
the guy who asks him onto the stage, that's Jordan Belfort.
Actually, yeah, because I was looking at photos going, why does that guy look so recognizable? But now we know.
Yeah.
I'm done looking at pictures of Jordan Belfort.
There was another movie called The Wolf of Wall Street before this. And it's from a very ignominious year of another big Wall Street crash, 1929. Interesting. But that movie is lost, so you can't see it anymore. But yeah.
Oh, what a shame. Whew.
What a shame. This is not really a remake. Oh yeah. This is a good one. When she was auditioning for the part of Naomi, Margot Robbie did a scene together with DiCaprio, and she slapped him for real in that scene, and so hard that she was actually embarrassed about it. She thought she'd lost the part, but that's actually maybe part of why she got so much into the scene that they actually gave it to her.
Oh. Well done, Margot, for slapping a man who was portraying a man who was horrible.
Yeah. And to not get too bad a rating for, at least not too high a rating for age-wise to get more people in, they had to tone down the gay orgy.
That's ridiculous.
Showing so much of all the other sex, but once it's gay, then no, that's shouldn't be that. But the rating system in the US counts? Is very hypocritical about that. Yeah.
So let me get this straight. All the full frontal nudity, that's fine. But gay sex is not fine. See what I mean?
They even sort of photoshopped a chair in front of someone so you couldn't see his penis.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
And that was probably like my favorite scene as well.
It is. I thought that was the funniest scene of the film. Just that guy taking advantage of Jordan Belfort.
It was just like finally a little bit of Stanley Kubrick there, you know? It's just like a random gay sex scene just inserted into a movie.
Yeah.
Gratuitous gay sex. Boom.
Like the bear giving a blowjob in The Shining.
Exactly. Yeah.
I was going to see The Shining tomorrow on a big screen, but now the cinemas are closed, so...
Oh, I saw it on Sunday.
Ah. Thanks for rubbing that
very
in.
good.
Now,
Sorry.
Yeah?
The other thing that's interesting is Stanley Kubrick was also not a big fan of strong women.
No. Very much not
Definitely
so.
not. It's a lot of angry white men who fear women making movies.
Yeah. I was just wondering, did you like Carl Chandler, who plays the FBI agent Denham, who's after
He's
Jordan Belfort?
He's been around for a long time.
I know him from
trying
this
to-
TV show called Early Edition, where he got the newspaper of tomorrow, today, and then he could change things happening.
Yeah,
After
and
that,
I
he
think
got really into the picture because of the TV show Friday Night Lights.
is that it? There was something else he was in as well. But yeah, no, he's I like him as an actor.
Yeah.
I thought his role was very minimal to be honest, in The Wolf of Wall Street.
I do like the scene on the yacht where he sort of looks like he's getting duped, taken in. I didn't expect him to be able to be bought into the whole share things, but at least he does do a bit of a Columbo there until he actually gets the bribe thing going, and then he lets him believe that he lets Belfort believe that he's in power, but then he gets the better of him. So I like that. So liked it less when at the end of the movie it is actually undercut that he actually got him by that shot of him in the subway, just like Belfort describes it over there, looking mopey and never having had the high life.
But that's exactly it. It's like the movie, of course, it mocks the dickheads, but it also mocks the ordinary people.
Yeah. And there's also the same undercutting is also there in that scene which is also one of the most objectifying scenes where Naomi is there going, Daddy, and Mommy will have to wear short skirts and stuff like that. But does at least show her to have power in that scene over him. And then that's undercut with the whole thing with the bear, with the camera in there, where that power that she has and that she should have over him gets undercut.
But that's the whole point, is that this goes back to what I was saying, that the women are not actually characters.
Yeah.
It's just like it's a byline almost. It's a mockery. It's something. It's a comic relief.
Yeah.
It's just something when you don't feel like masturbating, you go get a hooker or your wife. That's basically what it felt like in that movie. So I don't know, like there was nothing, like it was just like a means to an end every single time. Even the yacht, that he got her a yacht, did he get her a yacht or was it a tax write-off? You know, like taking your wives to Italy, it was also, again, to escape the FBI.
Exactly,
It's a constant means to an end. And then it's constantly like them being told, well, you know, if you don't shut up, you can't have my credit card. Which, again, is also on the women itself. Like, if you're willing to put up with that, that's also on you.
But that undercutting, that was also part of a point I was trying to make. One of the reasons why I really like this film is that it is very funny. It is a very funny film. But I can also understand that one of the things that you might hold most against it is that it's being played as a comedy, which sort of also makes light of all the bad stuff that they do. And it's also to make it go down easier in a way. But it also has the effect that the criticism of it doesn't even enter into some people's minds who watch it. They will just think, oh, that's cool. Not that it should be moralistic about that, because they did that in Wall Street and that didn't help. People still wanted to be Gordon Gekko, but...
Yeah. But I think that's it. I mean, at the end of the day, people choose what to make of the movie. And hopefully, I mean, there are enough people out there who will recognize it as it's just in good jest. But the sad part is it remains a fact that this is based on real life. Mm-hmm. And some of these things did actually happen. So to make a mockery or to use it as a comedy, it's just, I don't know, like you've run out of inspiration.
Yeah.
You know?
Did you see Goodfellas?
Yeah, I did.
I would say that this movie is basically a remake of Goodfellas. It's also based on a true story by a guy who wants to get into a certain world, goes on, gets into it, debauches a hell of a lot, gets worse and worse and worse, and in the end he is caught, sells out his friends, and has to live like a normo. And that's the thing he regrets the most in the end, having to live like a normal person and missing the high life that he used to have.
Well,
So
it's like
basically the
any
same as
drug.
that.
Yeah. You know, you get used to the rush, you get used to the high, and then, you know, there's the come down, and then there's the restricted access. It's like at the end as well, when like he's finally at home and he's got the chain around and he's drinking alcohol-free beer. You know?
Yeah.
It's yeah, you did this to yourself. What do you want? Yeah.
If you were to, if you wanted to name something to make improvements to make this into a better movie, what would you say this would need?
Improvementazio.
I would say you should take the original copy of the film and drown it in water, and then light that water on fire, and then put that water fire in ice, and then in a box, ship it somewhere, and then like just get some uranium, like a little tiny piece, destroy it. I think that would be a marginal improvement on the film. I know I've thought about this, and I just think this is genuinely the only way.
You don't see a movie about this subject matter being better than this is.
I think the only way this could have been better is, we just need to delete the entire script and rewrite it. Yeah, that's
and just not make it about Jordan Belfort or anything like that.
No. Let's completely make sure that Jordan Belfort does not go down in history as someone who should be remembered at all.
Yeah. I might have gone against this had I not just watched loads and loads of films about stocks people, because I've seen the other products like Wall Street where they do say this is wrong, this is bad, you shouldn't do this. Boiler Room, which is actually about sort of Jordan Belfort, but loads of details are changed. They're doing fraud, but in a different way and stuff like that. But also that one is where they say, these are the bad people. And you still present in a way where you might want to think, I want to be like them because they're cool. And it is also very much a blokes movie like The Wolf of Wall Street, where loads of guys like it. And like it from having seen it in 2000s. And 2000 exactly. And it's filled with lots of rap music from that time, where just white people are dancing to it, which is sort of weird, but loads of white people got, because there was an official soundtrack, they got the songs from the soundtrack and made their own sort of amateur soundtrack as a playlist in their cars, stuff like that. Yep.
Keep going, this is getting better.
Yeah. All right, let's get to the 3 recommendations. What do you have in store?
Tip 1.
3 recommendations. So I'm gonna go with the obscure movie first. Not that you wanted an obscure movie, but it's one of the ones that I've always liked when I was younger, which is Black Cat, White Cat by Costa Rica.
Yeah, I don't even know if that's that obscure, but it's obscure enough. But I love that movie.
I just remember I liked the sort of like the bizarre way that the storyline went and the random crazy parties that happened in it, but it was also like a real, it was about the strange time in that area as well.
I just remember the madness of it, and that's the thing that stays with me the most, and I think that's cool. I love that about it especially, but yeah, it's more the feeling of the movie that I remember than what the actual story was. And
but I think I have that with most movies. Like, it's just that what they leave you with. It's like an imprint. So that's the one. And
Tip 2!
actually my favorite movie, and no one ever seems to understand why, is The Dark Knight.
No one understands why.
Well, it's just because, here I am going off about a wealthy man and hating on Wolf of Wall Street, but actually I really love Batman.
In general, or just in the
it was one of my
Nolan
favorite
trilogy?
comics growing up,
Yeah.
but The Dark Knight is really like my favorite depiction of Batman.
Also favorite
I
depiction
think
of the
Christian
Joker,
Bale. Yeah, that was really good depiction of the Joker as well. Yeah.
because that's what most people tend to zoom into.
So I think it's more The Dark Knight. It's exactly what you were saying before. It's also the feeling of the movie, but also the whole like roller coaster of like when you're trying to be hopeful about things, but then like you get like the rug swept from underneath you, and then it goes up again, and then it goes down again, and then like the scenes with like Harvey and I don't know.
Yeah.
And the music is amazing. Not the soundtrack, but the score is just incredible.
And third recommendation.
Tip 3!
So I recently watched it, and I remember why I like it so much. Shrek.
Aw.
Shrek,
Cool.
because it was one of the first ones where it was a cartoon, and it was like there was so much sarcasm in there and so much like innuendos.
Yeah.
And it was also just good, family, wholesome, lovely story about like loving yourself. It's so sweet. I love it.
Yeah, and it also wipes its ass with Disney.
This is true as well. Which is
Actually,
amazing.
literally with Disney fairy tales, literally at the start of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know the story behind the baddie in Shrek? So he's called Lord Farquaad.
Farquaad.
Which sounds like fuckwad. But he's also very much looks like, at that time, the head of Disney who fired Katzenberger, who started the studio together with Spielberg and the other dude.
See,
So
that
it's sort
makes
of a
me love the
revenge
movie
on Disney.
more.
Sorry?
I love it. I love the movie more now. So I like that. Those are my 3 weird movie recommendations. Not so weird.
They
but...
would make a weird movie night if you watch all 3 of them back to back. But no, I think it's good. Yeah.
If you had to, which movie would you watch first from those 3?
I think to convince people to watch the other 2, maybe start off with the Dark Knight, then do Black Cat, White Cat. I was just wondering, isn't that movie about 3 hours as well?
The Dark Knight or Black Cat, White Cat?
Black Cat, White Cat. Dark Knight is about 2 hours, 20 minutes, 30 minutes.
It's quite long, but you know what? We're in lockdown, so it's okay.
Exactly. And then at the end, you just do Shrek to treat yourself.
Yeah. End with Shrek and popcorn.
And so we fought and we battled, yes, we beat each other up. Both of us tried hard, we both failed. Yes, I had you by the thumbs, but neither of us won. Only the love for cinema prevailed.
And that is it. Thank you, listeners, for being on the receiving end of this talky talk. And of course, thank you to Hager for joining the fun. And remember, kids, if you see a table, maybe it's good to check out if it's not really a woman. I hope that doesn't come across as me taking the piss, because I thought it was really a good point. Anyway, did I see anything good these last few weeks that I might suggest you watch as well? Of course. There is Shithouse, which is a very low-budget American production, and it is really good. It's about a first-year student. He is far away from home, and he has trouble dealing with it, but he wants to really try. So he goes to a party at a frat house called Shithouse, unadvisedly. And, of course, shenanigans ensue. It is quite surprising and quite deep. And very sweet. I also rewatched Happy Go Lucky, the British film by Mike Leigh. And I was very surprised to rediscover a certain character in that. Scott, the driving instructor, played by the great Eddie Marsan. He really is sort of an incel avant la lettre before it was a thing on the internet. He is like a crazy person, and he looks like one of those conspiracy nuts that thinks that Bill Gates want to put a microchip in your arm. That kind of person. And he seems like a prediction of a whole internet culture that has mostly come to light in the last 5 years. It is very interesting. And if you like to be horrified, you should really check out The Dark and the Wicked. It's good. And there we are. This has been a cinema production. Presented and edited by me, Ruud, de 20ste eeuwse Vos. And the jingles are, as always, made by the genius that is Roy Grutters. You can find us on social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and all hate mail can be sent to duimpjeworstelen@gmail.com. And if you want to support us financially, please visit patreon.com/duimpjeworstelen. Link in the description. And that's it. See you Wednesday after next. Bye-bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, could we have an enormous round of applause, please, for our host, who has once again succeeded in bringing to us a plethora of top-notch, cinematographically themed entertainment. We have had an absolute ball, have we not? Next time on Thumb Wrestling.
Maar goed, stel je nou voor dat het niet, dat laatste moment dat hij inderdaad helemaal zijn leven van ik vind het verschrikkelijk, dat niet op kerstavond was geweest. Of wanneer is het kerstdag, geloof ik. Stel dat was niet geweest, want het was gewoon een random zomerse dag geweest. Was
had
het
het
dan,
goed gekund.
Ja, dan was het denk ik dezelfde film gebleven.
Dat wordt vaker gezegd ook, ja.
This podcast employs a strict only like and subscribe if you really want to policy. Okay, bye.